Hello there. Today I wanted to take a look at a wine from the Coteaux du Layon. So we're in the Loire in Anjou, and this is Domaine de Clayou's Coteaux du Layon from 2015. 2015, a fabulous vintage for Chenin Blanc in this part of the world. In fact, a wonderful long hot summer, so really making some excellent wines, and they managed to get some botrytis as well that year, so that was great. The domain is run by Jean Bernard and Catherine Chauvin, and I believe their son is very much taking over its running. They have about 40 hectares of vines, and that's on limestone and schist soils. They are certified Terra Vitis, which is an ecological and sustainable certification. They've been certified since 2000 for this. And yeah, so a nice mature wine from a small family operation. So the winemaking, you have 100% Chenin Blanc. Normally Chenin, because it's quite a big grape and doesn't take very well to machine harvesting anyway, is hand picked. There's a certain degree of selection going on, because here you've got a sweet wine made from some botrytis grapes, so you're doing a certain amount of picking the right botrytis, maybe discarding grey rot or any problems like that. There's quite a gentle pressing. Fermentation takes place with ambient yeasts and goes on in cement tanks, but they're epoxy-lined to make them completely neutral in terms of their interaction with the wine. It's quite simple in terms of aging. The wine stays with its yeast lees for 6 months with occasional battonage just to stir the lees up. It's then filtered and stays in tank for 3 months further before being bottled. So no oak influence or anything like that. So yeah, as I say, fairly straightforward. So let's take a look at the wine, shall we? First thing to say is it's quite a lovely colour. It's a sort of a burnished, pale, lemony gold there. Didn't see what the alcohol was actually. I believe it's about 11.5, so not particularly high. So the fact that when I swirl the wine, there is a certain amount of it clinging to the glass is suggesting not the alcohol, but the sugar levels are quite high. So that's a nice sign there. Let's see what the aromas are like, shall we? Oh, it's quite opulent, sort of a rich, treacly, ripe apricot sort of note. That is lovely, actually. There's some slightly high-toned sort of floral notes, honeysuckle, that sort of thing, probably hinting at the botrytis. And there's a little bit of lifted lemony freshness at the back there. Not too much, but just a tiny touch. Let's have a taste. That's a real treat. It's sweet, but I would imagine possibly less than 100 grams per litre sugar. I haven't seen the stats on this. It's sweet and honeyed, but there's enough acidity that it's finishing nice and fresh, and actually the finish of the wine is allowing the lovely rich apricot-y fruit notes to come out, and it's not cloying and sweet. It's almost by the finish it's dried out. It's not exactly savoury, but you're just tasting the ripe fruit. There are honeyed top notes. There's less of the sort of lifted floral note. I'm not getting flavours of honeysuckle, but there are I suppose slight sort of botrytis complexity notes. They're a little sort of, they're notes of extraction. Sometimes I think they're a little bit like sort of dried tea bag or that sort of thing, but actually, you know, alongside the honey notes, that's quite pleasant. I think this would be a lovely pairing for cheeses. I'm thinking of sort of goat's cheese, chèvre or something like that, or it might go nicely with a salty blue cheese or something like that. But you know, a real treat. I mean, obviously with fresh fruit would be another thing, but if you're using it as a dessert wine, I wouldn't put it with anything too sweet. I mean, I'd say that in general for Coteaux du Layon, and yeah, most of the sweet wines from the Loire Valley, in fact, because if you're having it with something that's sweeter than the wine, it will overpower it, and unless you're having a sort of really good Bonnezeau or something like that, you're not going to have quite as much sweetness in a Loire sweet wine. But But this is a lovely, delicate wine that, as I say, would pair beautifully with fresh fruits, maybe with pastries, tarts, that sort of thing, but also with cheeses. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I would highly recommend taking a look at a Coteaux du Layon from a vintage as good as 2015, because this is delightful and it's certainly aged beautifully, and there's no hurry to drink it up either. It's got lovely freshness still, a good concentration of fruit, and would probably last quite happily for another 5, 6, 7 years. Thank you for joining us, and do watch again. Bye now.